Well, ladies and gentlemen, it is my great pleasure and great honor to give this presentation. I know the time is way overdue. We passed 20 minutes. So I try to make it short, but not within 1 minute, a little longer. Well, my title is called Challenges and Opportunities for a Sustainable Planet. And humanity we've been living on the planet of Earth for quite a long time. Yesterday, many stories was told about the evolution of life, humanity, migration of the humanity on Earth. What I want to point out now is that the Earth is a finite system. It's not an infinite system. And evolution really depends a lot on sunshine. If we turn off the sun, Earth will degrade and follow the second law of thermodynamics and will go to a chaotic system. It's the sun who is pumping the energy into the surface of the Earth and keep us going. For quite a long time, if you look at the atmosphere or biosphere we're living in, it has been quite stable. But during the last 100 years, we mess up. We mess up this living environment, and things change quite greatly. And because with so many presentations given yesterday, so I really do not have to go into a detail. One thing we mess up is in the pollution. Pollution in the air, which influence the health of the humanity. The second thing is the energy balance. As we pump more and more carbon dioxide in the air and other greenhouse gases, we did see the sunlight give energy to the Earth, and our Earth is emitting to the universe. It's not balancing anymore. We have more energy coming in than going out. So it's not surprising. And we are seeing the global warming in recent years. And we have to let everybody understand when you take more energy in than letting it out, because trapped by greenhouse gases, temperature will rise. And that is one of the things causing great problem for us at the present. And one of the reasons, maybe the major reason, we get into this trouble is because of the population expansion, explosion, and per capita consumption increased tremendously. For example, during the last century, population went up by a factor 4, per capita consumption by going up by a factor 2, so a load, the Earth is loaded by a factor of 8 just in 1 century. In 1994, there are 58 academies of sciences made a statement and said, if current predictions of population growth prove accurate and patterns of human activity on the planet remain unchanged, science and technology may not be able to prevent irreversible degradation of the natural environment and continue poverty for much of the world. That statement was given in 1994. Actually, that was the year I decided to leave University of California and go back to Taiwan. In 1962, when I went to the States, I didn't plan to stay in the States for forever. I just want to learn something and try to go back to Taiwan to help the people in Taiwan. So in 1994, I went back and took the position as the president of the academy. President of the academy, Academia Sinica, belonged to the office of the president. So my position is very high. My only boss, I should say only two bosses. One is the president, of course, the other one is my wife. So it things are much easier to deal with only two bosses, one at home, one in the public. And I was also appointed as the chief scientist or chief scientist leading the advisory board for the prime minister, so I can interact with the president and prime minister. And so I have been able to ask government to increase the science budget 10% a year for the coming 10 years. And it was a fantastic time. I saw I can influence the government. At the same time, Academia Sinica was really entirely revamped, and we set up the statute so President of the Academy will not be a permanent position with the term appointment. So I have been able to step down in 2006. But during the time, when I tried to influence the government to do something for the people, I did have some difficulties. One is, at that time, the government has been in power for 50 years under martial law. So in 2000, I thought, unless our government really pay more attention to the interests of people, things will not move very well. 1 week before the election of the president, I resigned from the presidency of the academy and campaigned for the opposition party. And opposition party won. This was the first time in the history of Taiwan regime change by democratic voting. And that was an exciting experience. But although the things like that happened, but at the same time, we did see earthquake, typhoon, and other natural disaster causing great difficulty in Taiwan. In 2002, I was asked to represent our government to participate in the APEC, Asian Pacific Economic Consortium, collaborations. And there, it was quite interesting. I did have a chance to sit together with all the presidents of Asian Pacific nations. And in the banquet, I sat next to George Bush. As a teacher, as a professor, I always try to educate somebody, sit next to you and try to influence him. And because the year before, 2002, was the year September 11, with Twin Tower was destroyed, and there was an air of war in the scene. And around that time, more than 100 Nobel laureates signed the letter, tried to convince George Bush, don't fight the war. Don't fight the war. Try to help science education and keep peace on earth. So when I sat next to George Bush, I thought this is a good opportunity. How can I sit with him for the entire dinner? So I tried to convince him, don't engage in the war. But I was not a very good teacher. He said, on behalf of the God, we got to punish the big guys. And that was the same philosophy when I was a kid in Taiwan, waving the flag and chanting the song and said, on behalf of the God, we have to punish the big guy. That was Japanese militarism was advocating at that time. Well, during that time, I was quite surprised that when we sit together and talking about future of humanity or Asian Pacific interests and talk about agriculture, and George Bush was saying that we should open up the market in Asia, agricultural food market in Asia. So I complained to him, agriculture in Asia, for example, Korea, Japan, and Taiwan, is very different from United States. United States agriculture is subsidized in the tune of $5 billion in irrigation system, and you want us to open up the market. agriculture is the backbone of the society. If agriculture is gone, the entire society will go down with it. And when I said that, Korean president said, Professor Lee, I'm glad that you said that, because I want to say the same thing. I want to say the same thing, but I cannot speak English. But anyway, that was quite interesting years. I did visit Chile, Mexico, and also Thailand as a APEC leaders and interact with the high-level scientists, high-level politicians. But actually, I was quite disappointed attending those meetings. It was a good, we all tried to help, but things doesn't seem to move very well. They all expect people to help them, especially the developing country. People always want somebody else to help them. Well, anyway, my change of the statute in the Academia Sinica allowed me to step down in 2006 after serving as the president of the Academia Sinica and setting up the Institute of Biodiversity and other things. I stepped down. 2 years later, I was elected to become the president of International Council for Science. I said, well, this time I will be dealing with scientists. Maybe I can communicate better and do things more meaningfully, because that organization has the mission said, strengthening international science for the benefit of society. So I did work for altogether as a president-elect president, immediate past president for 7.5 years, and also organized a program like Future Earth and set up some of the center, like integrated research on disaster risk and many other things. But one thing I was very disappointed was we have enormous knowledge, like integrated research on disaster risk. We know a lot. Scientists, scholars knows a lot. But at the same time, when you saw the earthquake in Nepal, or like recent typhoon like Maria hitting the Puerto Rico, we have not been able to do anything. We know that Typhoon Maria is coming to Puerto Rico. We know 5 days later it will hit Puerto Rico, but we have not been able to do anything. So the gap between knowledge and action really hit me very hard. So when we look at the future, like look at 2005 to 2050, we already said 2050, we will become a carbon neutral and many other things. But the way things are going, we are not winning the battle. We are really not winning the battle. Although we have the COP21 and people agree to do something, but not moving in the right direction. So if you look at the 2050, it has been said global population will be 9.5 billion, consumption too high. CO2 concentration will reach 470 ppm, and mass coral reef die out, mass forest die off, all bees disappeared. If we keep on moving this way, well, extreme weather event and sea level rise, $1 trillion of damage will be taking place. And food production will drop sharply, mass hunger and social crisis, violent conflicts will take place. And actually, when we look at 2050, I'm sure I will not be here. But look at the young people or younger generation. I can only say that we haven't done a good job yet. We are not on the right track to move in the right direction. So, what are the pathways to global sustainability? After presiding over the issue, I really feel that there need to be a global responses to global problems. We said the first leaders, scholars going together and try to move. We need to have global institutions, maybe global carbon tax or something to move along. Otherwise, the global problems probably not going to be solved by nation state working alone or loosely connected. The other thing is, we really need to go back to nature, back to sunshine. We have overloaded Earth. That's something we don't want to exceed, the fact that we are overloading it. So when we talk about sustainable development, we keep on talking about development in a sustainable way. We're still thinking about increasing the economy size and we want to live better. Yes, but we should live better for less. Somehow we have to reduce the consumption. Of course, reduce the consumption we can do in two ways. One is through the technology, new energy sources, but we really learn to consume less. And so we said we have to live better for less and control population explosion. This is a touchy problem. We don't say that very much. We just said population keep on expanding, but how can we control it? If you look at the population explosion, we heard yesterday, population in Africa will go from 900 million to 2 billion in the 2050, and then 4 billion later on. Can we slow it down? We keep on saying education, yes? Certainly, but we do not give the security. Then at the present time, 5 children were born, 3 of them are unplanned. And we keep on thinking that's the way it will be going. And that, I think, is irresponsible. If we really work like one community, we really need to help the people in Africa who live with dignity and get better education. Sustainable Development Goal want us to see that the 2030, every kid will get out from the secondary school with high quality education. The student will be getting out from the high school in 2030 will enter the elementary school next year. So unless we mobilize, so every kid go to the good elementary school, they will not get out the good high school. So there's a time gap in between. And other things, improve equality around the world. We have been working on pulling the poverty out in the Millennium Development Goal and Sustainable Development Goal, pull the poor people out of poverty, but at the same time, disparity between rich and poor is widening. So when we are pulling the poor people out of poverty, rich people are getting richer and richer, and the social pressure will still be there, and that world will be keep on moving in the wrong direction. So how can we improve the equality around the world? This is really an important issue. So this is about poor and rich. You can help the poor, but if we do not restrain the rich to let us share the fortune, we're not going there. And the other thing is, how should we move when we said live better for less? You don't need a car because you can and love to walk, bike, to take mass transit to meet all your daily needs within 10, 20 minutes journey. And also, you don't need a big house because you make the most of smaller space and enjoy tiny energy bills. We need to organize the society so road might belong to the people again rather than belong to the car. So when we talk about we are moving to driverless car, man-free car, or should we move back to the car-free man? And that's the important issue we should discuss. And so I want to conclude by saying, politically, this is a global problem in need of global solutions. Nation-state-based solution will not solve the problem entirely. For example, if you go to a place like Taiwan, Korea, their economic development depends on the energy available in the market. It's the fossil fuel. And then air and ocean is an infinite dump in the economic development. These two components will not be there and need to have a global collaboration. So we should spend money. We take the military budget to transform into the sustainable development technology thing. So socially, we must turn away from the path of the overdeveloped societies. So when we come to a meeting, every time when somebody says, I'm from developed country and try to help developing country, I say, no, you're totally wrong. We are from overdeveloped country. We're overdeveloped. And try to move the not-overdeveloped country in a different way. We should have a new way of development. And technologically, we must learn to store, transform, and share energy from the sun. This is very important. A couple of months ago, last year actually, I went to San Diego. I saw my former student, and she said, Yuan, I'm a clean person now. I use solar energy to store the battery for my car, and all the electricity is from solar panel. She challenged me, can you do it? I said, no. I have only a very small roof in Taiwan in an apartment complex. But I can do it if I go back to States. So that's what I did. I didn't go back to States, but in son's house, I put a solar panel. So monthly electric bill is $3 or so. So there's something one can do and one cannot do. But spend money, lots of money to develop technology, allow us to store energy, transfer energy, and share energy from the sun. That is very important. And finally, I want to say that we are in very bad situation. And young lady sitting behind said, do something. And then older generation didn't respond very well. And ship might go down in 100 years, 50 years. I think I do feel sorry that with the trust of young people toward us, my granddaughter always said, I don't worry about global warming. Why? Because my grandfather is very capable. Whatever he tried to do, he always succeeds. But I have to tell her that would not be the case. This is complicated. We have to work together. Not a capable grandfather can do things. So thank you very much.
Thank you.